everybody, my name is Mars, you can call me MG if you would like, and today we are here to celebrate the fact that my channel has hit 500 subscribers. That is crazy, and all of the thanks has to go to you guys, my subscribers, because obviously I couldn't do this on my own. I can only hit subscriber milestones thanks to the people who are subscribing, so thank you. We are going to do a special vlog here to celebrate. I put a poll up on my community tab a couple of weeks ago. I think it was like the end of October when I hit like 490 subscribers. I was like, let me prepare for this, and I gave a couple of options, and the option that won is to read for 500 minutes to celebrate 500 subscribers. For those who don't want to do the math at home, 500 minutes is 8 hours and 20 minutes. So I'm gonna be reading all day. It is currently 8:30 in the morning, and I will start at 8:40 with my reading and go until 5 p.m. Now, it's not going to be like continuous reading. I'm not gonna like pause the clock when I go to eat or use the bathroom or something, so I will be missing little chunks of time here and there. But for those 8 hours and 20 minutes, I will be prioritizing writing. I'm not gonna do any reading. I'm not gonna do any YouTube watching. That one has a little asterisk. I'm just going to be reading. There are a couple of people doing streams today. I believe Shannon will be streaming starting at 9 a.m. and I'm thinking Stieg probably has his 1 p.m. stream because it is Tuesday. So I will do that to get a little bit of social interaction, but I will be reading during those sprints and also probably during the chatty times. A little bit of insider knowledge here. If I'm not like on screen, if I'm just watching a sprint stream, 9 times out of 10, I'm continuing to do whatever I do while the chatting is happening, whether that's reading or writing or cleaning or anything else that I'm using the sprints for. So I will definitely be doing a lot of reading, even though I will have some pockets of time here and there where I'm not, eyes glued to a page. So let me give you a little bit of a tour of my possible reads for the day. I genuinely have no idea what I'm gonna get through. I'm thinking at least 2 books, because I know what 2 I'm gonna start with, and they're both on the shorter side. Beyond that, I have no idea. So I do have a couple of ebook options, but my main focus is going to be the 4 books that I still have left on my want to read list for the month that are physical books. So let's go look at those. So here we have my TBR cart, and first we have the Divine Comedy. I'm not going to be reading the whole thing. I've already read Inferno. I've actually read it a couple of times, but I read it recently, so my plan is to read Purgatory sometime during this month. If it doesn't happen today, definitely before the end of the month. Then we have An Enchantment of Ravens, which I read for the first time last fall, and it's just the perfect vibes for the season, so I want to reread it. We have Sadie, which I picked up from a thrift store a month or 2 ago, and I really want to read it. I have the audiobook available via Everand, so I'm going to listen to it while I read physically, because there is a podcast transcript element to it, and I think that would be a nice touch to have the audio going as well. And then we have Ink Death by Cornelia Funk. This is going to be another reread, like An Enchantment of Ravens. I've been rereading this trilogy over the past few months because the companion book, I guess, sequel, I don't really know what to call it. It follows a side character on a revenge quest. That book comes out, I believe, this month in November, so I want to refamiliarize myself with the main story of what happens. So these are my main focus, and then like I said, I do have a couple of ebook options if I get tired of reading from the physical page. And I am going to start with An Enchantment of Ravens, because, like I said, it's got the perfect vibes for this time of year. It's very short. It is a reread. I think it would be the perfect first book to read today to get me in the reading groove. So I'm going to get cozy and get ready to read in the next couple of minutes when 8:40 hits. All right, the clock has just hit 8:40, so let's get reading. Okay, first I would like to apologize for any sounds you hear in the background of this clip. There's a helicopter that's been outside for literally like 40 minutes now, and also there's some sort of maintenance or construction going on in the house next to ours, and because I live in a row home, they're connected and there's just one wall between us, and it's starting to drive me insane. So I'm gonna give you this little update and then I'm gonna get going to go on a little walk. I'll explain. So I am now about 100 pages into An Enchantment of Ravens. It is 5 minutes to 10, and I've made it a third of the way through the book. So I am making great progress. But like I said, this helicopter and whatever's going on next door kind of driving me insane right now. So my plan is I'm going to first get something to eat because I didn't realize until I started talking that I'm actually starving. So I think I'm gonna like toast a bagel or something, I don't know. Then I'm going to go for a walk. There is the local library and also a college campus literally like 10 minutes away from me. So I am going to head over to one of those places and find a bench and sit and read outside because it is a little bit chilly. It's like 60 degrees, but I feel like the brisk air will actually lend itself to reading this book. So I will get away from the sounds that are going on right now. Well, actually, I don't know if I'll get away from the helicopter, but I'll get away from the sounds next door anyway, and get more reading done, and also get some fresh air, which is always a good thing. So, that is my plan. I didn't update you on the book at all. Wow, my bad. I'm loving it. It's so good. I've already had several, like, squee kind of moments, like giggling, kicking my feet, you know, all that fun stuff, because I just love these characters so much. It's such a fast read. It's so beautifully written. I'm obsessed, which like I already knew because this was a reread and I was obsessed when I read it last year and I'm still obsessed now. So I'm gonna go eat something and then go for a little walk and we'll see where the day takes me from there. Hello friends, I'm back. It is just before 12:30, so we're not quite at the halfway mark, but we're approaching it. And I have finished An Enchantment of Ravens. As you saw, I went on my little walk and I sat outside of the local library. There's a little bench there, and I read about 50 or 60 pages, and then my hands started to go numb because of the cold. I really should have brought gloves, but I didn't think of that until I was already outside. But it was a really nice time, and I enjoyed getting some fresh air. I did learn that the next door neighbors are replacing their front stoop, and that was all of the construction sounds, and that the helicopters were news copters because a car rolled into the lake, not lake, river, and it doesn't seem like anyone was inside. It was like in a parking lot, and I guess the parking brakes failed. I live in a very like hilly area, and some of them are very steep, so you need good parking brakes in this place. So it just seems like that's what happened. But that was all the hubbub that was going on this morning. It's all quieted down now. But I finished Enchantment of Ravens. It was so good. We're not surprised. I am obsessed with it and everything that Margaret Rogerson will ever write. I also loved Vespertine and Sorcery of Thorns. I have yet to read Mysteries of Thorn Manor. That's the like novella that kind of acts as an epilogue to Sorcery of Thorns, but I want to read it so soon. I think that's all she's written, but I'll read anything else she publishes in the future because she's just an amazing writer and I love all of her characters and her worlds and her stories. They're fantastic. Could not recommend highly enough. But yes, that was the end of this book, and now I get to pick the next one to read. Because we are approaching the halfway mark, I feel like it's safe to say I'm only going to be finishing 2 books during this little celebratory experiment. Especially if they're the same length as this one, then I could definitely fit another one in. So I've decided the next book I'm going to go for is Sadie. by Courtney Summers. This is a little bit longer. This is... Come on. There's so many bonus things at the end, like excerpts and stuff. 308 pages, so literally only 9 pages longer than Enchantment of Ravens. And like I said, I'm going to be listening to the audiobook while I read. The audiobook is 8 hours long, but I tend to listen at 2 to 2.5 times speed, depending on how fast the narrator talks, because that would match up with how fast I read a physical book. So I should be able to finish this in the allotted time. I've got 4.5 more hours, and I think it's doable. I'm very excited. This is a YA thriller, and it's told in a dual timeline. We follow Sadie, who is a runaway. She fled this group home, I think, after her sister was murdered. Or she it's not a group home, I think it's just her actual house. So we follow her in the wake of that, but then we also follow this guy West, who has a radio show, and it's him following the case of what happened to Sadie, and that's the podcast element to it. You can see the formatting of it. So I'm very curious to see how this goes. I'm going to probably have a little light lunch and then get going on this when I'm done eating. So I will update you once I get into the book. Okay, so I managed to listen to about half an hour before my earbuds died because I forgot to charge them. Good job, me. So those are currently charging. I was reading downstairs and it was all nice and cozy. You might be able to hear my cat messing with some packaging materials that we left out because we just had a package come in the mail. But I am a few chapters in and I'm enjoying it. The audiobook is definitely the way to go. It's a full cast, which I think is so amazing. I love full cast audiobooks and I like the voice actors so far, the narrators, I guess they would be called. Like I said, I'm only a few chapters in, so I can't give you a huge update, but I'm intrigued. We've gotten some of the podcast element. We've gotten some scenes from Sadie's POV. So far, she's bought a car and she's looking for this man who isn't really her stepfather. It's her mom's ex-boyfriend and the father of her younger sister because they're half-siblings, which is something I always appreciate in books as someone who has half-siblings myself. I feel like it's an underrepresented relationship dynamic, so that's interesting. Yeah. There's one thing that is kind of bothering me, and that's the fact that Sadie has a stutter, which, not the fact that she has a stutter that bothers me, it's the way it's implemented, because I don't know if you guys know this, because I tend to edit those bits out of clips, but I have a stutter. It's definitely gotten better in the most recent years, but when I was in middle school and high school, I had a very bad stutter, and it's something that I've worked on to kind of get over, but it still shows up every now and then. But Sadie's got a very severe stutter that affects pretty much every word she says, and I get why it's done the way it's done, but it doesn't really feel realistic. And I know there's different types of stutters and everything, but just from my experience and other people I know who have stutters, it just doesn't really happen the way this one does, where every word you repeat the first sound of the word 6 times before you get the word out. Yes, that happens, but that's not the only way stutters manifest. So it's just a little bit to me. But I'm going to get back to this because oh my god, sorry, Chloe just startled me by coming into the room. because my earbuds are charging, I'm back in the bedroom so that I can play the audiobook out loud on my phone without bothering my boyfriend. So that's why I'm here. I'm going to get going, and I will update you when I'm further into the story. Hello friends, it is a couple of minutes past 4 p.m. and I have not updated you throughout the reading of Sadie. I just finished it and I'm like, I want to sit with this, but not yet. I definitely need something to like clear out my head a little bit and then I'll sit with it. And that's fine actually, because I still have an hour left that I said I would read because I gotta read for 500 minutes and it's only 4 and I have till 5. So like I definitely need something to be a palate cleanser maybe? I don't know. This was really good. I should say that. This was a really, really good book. It was just heavy. It covered topics that I did not expect, which I don't really go into books looking at like content warnings or trigger warnings pages because there's not a lot that I would consider a trigger or something I want to be warned about. I don't like excessive eye damage and I don't like excessive teeth damage. And that's pretty much it. Like, heavy topics aren't really things that trigger me, so I don't feel the need to be warned about them ahead of time, but they are still things that like affect me, you know, as books do. And this covers some very heavy topics, so if you are the kind of person who has triggers and you're thinking about reading this book, find a content warning list. It's probably somewhere online. The author might have it on the website or someone's blog post. I don't know. But definitely look into that if you need to. This was less of a thriller than I expected. It was really just a mystery. But the audiobook, like I said, was definitely a great choice. I loved the cast and I felt like it was very well done. Like the podcast part of it was really like brought to life through the audiobook cast. I did start off at 2 times speed and then I bumped it up to 2.5 and then I ended up bumping up to 3 times speed because I found I was reading it physically faster than I was listening to it. And so that's how I managed to finish it before whatever time. Like, it's only 4 p.m. Well, it's 4:05 now. Yeah, that's how I got through this fast. And it's definitely something I'm going to be thinking about for quite a while. But it doesn't need to be something I think about right now. So I'm going to put this off to the side. And then I've decided the last book I'm going to read is going to be an ebook, and it's going to be The Mysteries of Thorn Manor. I've been thinking about it since finishing An Enchantment of Ravens. I read Sorcery of Thorns at some point this year. It might have been during the spring or the summer. Like, it's been several months, but I do remember how it ended, so I'm ready to jump into Mysteries of Thorn Manor. It's 140 pages, according to Everand, so I don't know if I'll be able to finish it within the next 50 minutes, we'll say, by the time I wrap up chatting with you guys. It'll be probably, like, closer to 4:10. So I don't know if I'll be able to read the whole thing before this challenge ends, but I'll give it a go. I'll keep reading, and yeah, I think there's a good chance that I don't update you until the end, whether that's when I finish this book or the end of my 500 minutes of reading, whichever one comes first. Probably be the 500 minutes of reading, like I said. So I'm gonna go back downstairs because I did, in fact, after reading in bed for a while, go back downstairs to read the last bit of Sadie, and it was real comfy down there. I like my pink armchair, so I'm gonna go back there again, have another snack. I had some chips earlier. I didn't end up having actual lunch, and then I also had a couple of cookies, so I'm real snacky, but I'll have probably one more little snack, and then I'll eat dinner after I finish out this vlog. I think that sounds like a good plan. So I'm gonna get going, and I will see you when all of this is wrapped up. And with that, we have reached the end of this challenge. So as you guys just saw, it has finally hit 5 o'clock, and I am so tired. I'm very glad that this is done. I feel like this last hour was a bit too much. I was doing so fine with Enchantment Ravens and Sadie, and then I sat down to start reading Mysteries of Thorn Manor, and I just like, all of my energy was gone. But I persisted, and I got through like a quarter of it. I think I'm like 30 pages in, 35, something like that. Like 3 chapters. And I think there's 10 chapters? 9? 11? Something in that ballpark. So I did make progress, but not a ton, but that's fine. I will, continue reading it and probably finish it up in the next day or 2. It's whatever. God, I'm so tired, but I still had a lot of fun doing this. So we had first An Enchantment of Ravens, which I absolutely adored, obviously, because it's one of my favorite books, and I wanted to reread it, and I'm so glad that I finally got to. I've been wanting to reread this since, like, September, and it just hasn't fit into any, like, of my life plans, whether it was, like, I had to read other books for a vlog, or, like, I was traveling for part of October, just other things that I had to prioritize, so I'm very glad that I got to read this. And then Sadie, I'm also glad that I read. I was very much affected by it in a way I didn't expect, but it was still a really good book, and I would highly recommend. Just remember to check content warnings if that is something you need to do. And then with, of course, like I said, Mysteries of Thorn Manor, I got like a quarter of the way into it. And it is good. I'm really enjoying it. I missed these characters. I did realize that I accidentally stole the name of the city from this book. So I went back and looked, and I read Sorcery of Thorns, the first book, in April. In June, just 2 months later, I started working on my Sapphic supernatural western novel, and the main town that story takes place in is called Copper Creek. But I was like, oh, there's this other town that some stuff happens in, and I need to, like, name that, but I wanted to be like kind of the same naming conventions as Copper Creek, so I named it Brass Bridge. Brass Bridge is the name of the book, of the city in the book Sorcery of Thorns / Mysteries of Thorn Manor. So I guess I have to change that. It's been a long time since I've, like, subconsciously stolen something like that, so I'm glad I caught it. Not that it's, like, that big of a deal, but it's still something that I think is funny. But with that, I'm gonna close this vlog out because I'm really freaking tired. I'm really hungry. I'm gonna go make some soup and then probably sit in bed and watch YouTube for the rest of the night. I'm tapped out of reading. I'm gonna have to come up with something different to do for the 1,000 subscriber celebration whenever that comes, because I don't think I can do this 2 days in a row. So leave your comments down below. Not that that's gonna happen anytime soon, because it took me 4 years to hit 500 subs, but who knows? Maybe people are gonna find my channel and really enjoy it and subscribe, just like all of you lovely people have. But yes, now I must go do something other than reading. So if you've enjoyed this vlog, be sure to give it a big thumbs up. You can subscribe to my channel for more content, and that way, I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye, everyone.